While it rained heavily, lightning and thunder danced in the night sky, making loud, jubilant noises. Oluwatishe screamed from his sleep, waking up both of his parents. On getting to his room, they found Oluwatishe by the corner of the room, screaming that he saw something in the dark. There was something in his room. Mr. Saka searched everywhere. His parents called him childish when he warned them, and they paid dearly for it. The Baloguns, Mr. Saka and Mrs. Duro, were a young couple who were known and respected in society. All the members of the elite social club in Lagos knew them or had heard about them at some point. They had a very bright young boy, Oluwatishe, who was known for his brilliance and most especially his ability to predict events before they happened. Oluwatishe once told his parents that he dreamt that his father received a promotion at work on the same day that his mother received a promotion. While they both dismissed it as the nuisance of a young child, 2 weeks later, they both got news about their respective work promotions on the same day. The Baloguns lived with Mr. Saka's mother, Mrs. Sandra, and everyone in the house called her grandma. Mrs. Sandra used to call Oluwatishe a prophet in a small body, jokingly, but she also half believed that he was truly a special child. The Baloguns were frequent churchgoers, and they never missed a Sunday service. One day, towards the end of a very beautiful church service, the pastor paused and said, "I know service has ended, but I just received a very important message from the Holy Spirit. The message says, be wary of who you trust, and when everything fails, listen to your young one." The congregation went silent for a few seconds until the pastor said, "Also, don't forget to pay your tithes, eh?" The whole congregation burst into laughter. On their way out of the church, Mrs. Duro was stopped by a frail-looking old man who begged her for money to feed.
"Please, help me. I have not eaten for a few days now, and since my only child died last month, I have found it very hard to make enough money to survive. I don't mind getting just 100 naira. I will be very grateful."
Usually, Mrs. Duro was not the type to fall for the sob story of a beggar, and she was always wary of helping the wrong person. And she had not forgotten the story her mother told her of the woman who turned into a tuber of yam after giving a beggar some money at the market. However, the clean clothes worn by this old man and his impeccable spoken English intrigued her and made her pity him. "Please wait here, sir," she said to the man before walking back to where her husband was standing. "Honey, please, can we take that man in? He has lost his only child and he has nowhere to go." Mr. Saka was skeptical of the idea. He didn't like having a stranger live with them. He much rather preferred that they gave him money and let him be on his merry way. Why not just give him some money and let him go back to wherever he came from? Mr. Saka asked with a hint of annoyance. "I don't want someone that we don't know come to our home and start living with us for no reason." Mrs. Duro, now frustrated, looked at her husband sternly and said, "Shay, you know that when you brought in your mother to come and stay with us, I did not complain. Not that anything is bad with that, but still, you brought her in without consulting me, and I accepted it. This is the first time I'm asking something this huge of you. So please, just do this for me." After giving it a little thought, Mr. Saka finally agreed to let the old man come home with them. His wife was very happy and she thanked him profusely. After spending a couple of hours in traffic, they arrived at home. "Mommy, Daddy, welcome back." Oluwatishe ran to hug both his parents as they returned and showed them a drawing that he made. It was a drawing of his parents giving money to a beggar, but in the drawing, the beggar had a knife behind his back. "What is this?" his mother asked him. "Oh, it is a drawing of a dream I had last night. It felt so real. I was so scared." Mrs. Saka took the drawing from him and told him not to worry. They would never let anything happen to him. She was a bit shaken by the drawing because she had not even met the beggar yet before he had a dream about them giving money to a beggar. Mr. Saka also took a look at the drawing but quickly dismissed it as nothing. However, that night, he asked all of them to pray together in the living room. After the prayer, they showed the old man, who told them his name was Ogunde, to his room in the boys' quarters. That night, Grandma also met the old man and immediately didn't like him. She said there was something off about him. But the Baloguns told her not to worry. Her son even said she just felt threatened that another elderly person was about to start living with them. For 2 weeks after they took in the beggar, everything went smoothly. The old man, Ogunde, helped wash the Balogun's car in the morning before they went to work. And he made friends with the maid and gate man in the house. Everyone except the grandmother took a liking to him. One night, while it rained heavily, lightning and thunder danced in the night sky, making loud, jubilant noises. Oluwatishe screamed from his sleep, waking up both of his parents. On getting to his room, they found Oluwatishe by the corner of the room, screaming that he saw something in the dark. There was something in his room. Mr. Saka searched everywhere in the room but couldn't find anything. "I think you are just scared of the rain." Oluwatishe insisted that he saw something and did not want to be left alone in his room. His parents sighed and told him to come to their room to stay for the night. As this happened, Grandma watched from afar and had a malicious smile on her face. She quickly walked away before anyone could see her. The next day, Grandma asked to see the Baloguns. She told them that she suspected that the old man they invited into their home was a wizard and had some very dark magic. She said she knew this because she also saw him in her dream, and she knew that he was definitely up to no good. Mrs. Saka became angry. "But why, Mama? Why don't you like anything I do in this house? First, it was when I married your son. You said I was not good enough and I couldn't bear a male child. Then I bore a male child, and you started saying my son was a spiritual child. Now, because it was me that brought that helpless old man into the house, you want to lie and have us send him away, Abi?" she retorted. Grandma was shocked and yelled at her, saying she still thinks that her son could have done better than marrying her. A fight broke out, and Mr. Saka was left trying to settle the fight between his mother and his wife. The old man, Ogunde, walked into the sitting room and begged them to stop fighting. He said he was going to leave if that would make them stop fighting. However, Mr. Saka begged him to stay and forgive his mother and wife for their insolent attitudes. The next morning, as they were about to have breakfast, Mr. Ogunde went to meet Mrs. Duro and told her that he saw her mother-in-law putting some black powder inside her tea. He told her that he thinks she might be trying to poison her. Mrs. Duro was shocked. She knew her mother-in-law had problems with her, but never thought she would try to do something malicious to her. Mrs. Duro went to meet her husband and told him that the old man just saw his mother put something in her tea. Mr. Saka was immediately furious at his wife. "How would you accuse my mother of trying to kill you? How dare you?" he yelled. "If you are so sure that she is not trying to kill me, then tell her to drink my tea." Mr. Saka called his mother and the old man and told them about the situation. Grandma immediately denied the allegations and said the old man was only trying to make her look like a bad person. She accused the old man, Ogunde, of manipulating their family for his own gain. Out of nowhere, Oluwatishe came to the living room and told his parents that he had a dream, and in the dream he saw grandma putting something black in his mother's tea. Everyone gasped. There was no way he would have known that information since he was just waking up. The grandma refused to drink the tea, but she maintained that she was innocent. Mrs. Duro, Oluwatishe's mother, poured the tea on a plant, and the plant immediately withered and died. Everyone was shocked. Mr. Saka had no choice but to send his mother packing. As grandma left the house, she turned back and said to Oluwatishe, "Make sure you watch over your parents for me." The old man, Ogunde, winked at grandma as she walked away. He walked up to her with his walking stick and whispered in her ear, "Next time, don't pick a fight you cannot win." Grandma was wide-eyed when she heard this, but she knew that there was nothing she would say that would make them believe her, so she left quietly. A month after grandma left the house, Oluwatishe woke up at midnight to go and urinate, but to his surprise, he saw a dark figure cloaked in the dark clothes in the living room. He moved closer and he saw the old man, but this time his mouth was covered in blood, and in front of him was a human leg. The old man turned and flashed a vile smile at Oluwatishe, revealing blood-stained teeth. Then he whispered, "You are next, my boy." Oluwatishe screamed, and his parents came running downstairs to meet him. But to his dismay, the old man had vanished, and his parents met only Oluwatishe screaming at the top of his lungs. I saw the old man. I saw him eating a human leg. The old man is evil," Oluwatishe screamed. His mother and father looked at each other with a worried expression. "I think we need to stop you from watching all those horror films you are always watching." The old man, Ogunde, opened the door and walked in slowly. He looked very normal, as if nothing had happened. "What is wrong?" he asked. "I heard the boy screaming." "We are so sorry, Baba. He's just scared." On seeing the old man, Oluwatishe ran to hide behind his mother. "Mother, can't you see his face? It is covered in blood." His parents looked at the old man, but he looked like a regular old man, but the boy could see him clearly for the monster that he was. Everyone went back to sleep that night. Oluwatishe insisted that he could only sleep in his parents' room, and they agreed. The next morning, Mrs. Duro woke up to a big wound on her leg. It was very deep and painful. At first, they simply rubbed some ointment on it, thinking it would go away after a while. But instead, the wound continued to grow even larger. After a month, Oluwatishe's mother could no longer walk, and her wound smelled like rotten flesh. At this point, Mr. Saka was beginning to suspect the old man, but he made sure he kept quiet so he wouldn't alert the old man to his plans. Mr. Saka made sure Oluwatishe slept in the same room with him and Mrs. Duro, and prayed with him every night before going to bed. After 3 months of trying all types of medicine and praying at home, Mr. Saka called his mom to come to their aid. Mr. Saka too already had a big wound on his arm, and it was not healing. It continued to get bigger and bigger every day. The old man kept pretending like he was just another ordinary person, but every night he would cut a piece of Mr. Saka and Mrs. Duro in their dream and eat it. One morning, Grandma came into the house with a pastor from the church that the Baloguns attended, and called on the old man to help carry a particular keg of water. The moment the old man touched the water, he began to scream, but he was unable to drop the water down. The water he carried was holy water. The pastor started to pray fervently, casting and binding the old man. In a bid to escape, the old man transformed into a disgusting-looking ghoul, a spirit of the underworld that only came up to the land of the living to eat the flesh of living beings. The Baloguns were shocked at the sight of what they saw. They could not believe their eyes. The pastor asked the evil spirits what it wanted with the Baloguns, and it confessed that they seemed like easy prey due to their kindness. But he was taken aback by how frequently they prayed in their house, and their powerful son who could see him for what he was after some months, because his powers began to dwindle. That was why he had to start eating them while they were alive. The pastor continued to pray until the ghoul screamed in pain and burst into darkness, leaving nothing behind. Immediately after this happened, the wounds of Mr. Saka and Mrs. Duro began to heal. The pastor told them to never stop praying, as that was what saved their lives from that evil spirit. The Baloguns apologized to Grandma for not believing her, and apologized to their son as well for doubting him since the first day he complained about their visitor. The Balogun family thrived once again, but this time they were wary of inviting total strangers into their home, and they never took the words of their son for granted anymore. This story is a reminder to be careful of who we show kindness toward and how far we are willing to go to help strangers. It is also a reminder that most children can see what the adults are blind to, and they should not be taken for granted. If your child says something happened or something seems fishy, don't just dismiss them. You should always investigate. These lessons apply to things beyond the spiritual realm. They apply to the physical world too. If your child complains about a person, make sure you find out why. The end. We hope you enjoyed the story you just watched. Please subscribe to our channel and like this video, as it helps us create more videos like this for you to enjoy. Thank you.